Hello and welcome back to You Ask, We Answer, presented by What Is It About the Weather? This week's question is, what is the most dangerous weather? Now, the question was asked of me, so of course this is going to be my opinion in all this. I'm sure there are a lot of varying opinions as to which weather type might fall in that category. Now, I got this question, it came in during what are typically considered the severe weather months in the U.S., kind of that late spring time frame when we see a lot of tornadoes, a lot of lightning, a lot of really active sort of weather. But I decided to hold off answering that question till the summertime. We're now getting into that tropical cyclone season here in the U.S. Certainly that. But let's not forget wintertime, cold, blizzards, snowstorms, things like that. All those things can have a detrimental impact on people and kill people. But the reason I held off to summer is, in my personal opinion, the most dangerous weather is heat. I know, it sounds really kind of ho-hum, right? But let's talk a little bit about why I think that's the case and introduce you a little bit more about what you should be thinking about when heat comes your way. So heat, why did I pick heat? Well, it's really pretty simple. Heat is kind of one of those creeper things. It can sneak up on you, and no, it doesn't necessarily happen instantaneously, but it can be a nice sunny day, or it can be an overcast day, really any kind of day, and all of a sudden you're dealing with the problems that come about from spending too much time in excessive heat, whether, the sunburn, which you won't see right away, right, which has long-term implications, but, in a given day you could be dealing with heat stress or heat stroke, which can kill you. Now, I'm showing you some statistics here that show in the U.S. over the last 30 years, heat is the #1 killer. Yes, you're going to have some years where floods or tropical cyclones are going to top that, certainly. But on the long haul, heat is kind of like how it creeps up on you. It's just that thing that's always there and taking people's lives, unfortunately. Now, in the U.S., air conditioning has become pretty common in homes and businesses, so we have a way to escape that heat quite often for most of the population, not everybody. But heat is clearly a problem globally, and particularly in places where it's really hot and they don't necessarily have air conditioning where everybody can escape to. And such a place is the country of India, where heat waves in the last couple of decades have killed in excess of 1,000 people per heat wave event. I mean, just think about that. All of a sudden, it's this thing. It just shows up. Again, none of these reminders of big pictures of tropical cyclones coming through or lightning strikes or all these other things. None of those cues are there, and killing thousands of people. Now, in my time working in the weather enterprise, I've had the opportunity to work with some extremely intelligent people. Two such people, Dr. YAWAe010 and Dr. Peter J. Webster, were critical in a project that was developed to implement South Asia's first heat action plan. Now, I'm showing you an example of one of the forecasts, and it's really, the idea is simple enough, which is with heat, as I've talked about, you usually have some lead time, and that could be a couple of days or even a week or more, where you can be planning what you need to be thinking about. And the idea of this action plan was exactly that, which is first and foremost create good quality forecast. And that's essential, right? Because the thresholds of when it's really dangerous and when it's not can be just a few degrees. And so this project aimed to, and successfully did, put in place in the city of Ahmedabad a action plan technique where these forecasts were issued and the local authorities could work with their residents, which were in the millions, when these events were coming. And so this is an example of the types of things that, it's what weather forecasting is first and foremost about, right? It's about saving lives. Yes, it's about making your day better or helping you with your plans, but at a fundamental level, it is about saving lives. And this is an example of it doing exactly that. Now, temperature data, we usually can get quality data multiple days in advance, but there are opportunities in more short terms to deal with things like in the US we have the heat index, which takes into account humidity. But again, it can be a little misleading because you could be in an area, in some areas you kind of know you're sweating and it's not evaporating, and so you know how it feels. But you can be in areas where it's evaporating, but the bigger problem is you're losing all that water, and if you don't have the reminder to replace it, that can be a problem. But Additionally, I recently heard an interview with a gentleman, Steve Piltz, who works for the National Weather Service in Oklahoma. He's a meteorologist in charge of one of the offices there. And he's been involved in a project called the wet bulb globe temperature. And this is used more and more by like sports teams or other people that are doing activities when it's hot and humid, but it takes into account also, you know, how much sunlight are you involved in, and what are the wind speeds, because all these things come into play with how heat stress or how that heat event is really going to impact your body. The challenge with this data, of course, is getting good quality data for all those components is harder to do, and quite often you can't do it with as much lead time. But these teams can use it, for example, on the day of, and they can be looking at the elements and understand how all these components go into how much time people should be spending outside versus inside during these dangerous heat situations. So, you know, this time of year also, it's been a hot summer, certainly where I am, and in many places. And meteorologists a lot of times make fun because it always seems like common sense. Go inside, you know, stay in the air conditioning, go in the shade, wear loose light clothing, stay hydrated, you know, all these things. But kids don't necessarily have those life experiences. Pets don't. And not everybody has the same access. So while it is a lot of common sense, I always say in the Weather Enterprise, we wouldn't come up with these stupid, catchy phrases to remind people to do the right thing if common sense always prevailed. So, you know, it's like when it roars, head indoors for lightning storms, or turn around, don't drown for, you know, not taking your car through water. But we keep using them because people keep doing it. So I was thinking about some phrases we could use with heat, right? And it's like, when it's bright, make it night. So like, you know, go inside or get in the shade. Yeah, it didn't come up. So, but there's three things that I think are worthwhile here to take away. When it's hot, drink a lot. You know, keep hydrated. It's key, right? That's certainly first and foremost. So that's one that, you know, whatever you do, always keep that in mind. And because these heat events can come on in advance, you know, heat this week, take a peek. You know, it doesn't hurt. It takes you 10 seconds to look at a forecast to understand if the heat might be coming about. But lastly, you know, keep your cool. Go in the shade, air conditioning, but remember that heat is also impacting your mood and your behavior. So you're more tense, you're more stressed. Just don't go into a rage event. You know, recognize that the heat is likely doing that. So hopefully this will help you deal with your heat situation. All right. So as always, go to the website. You can catch all the links there to follow me in the other social media. Keep up with my weather pictures if you like tracking that kind of stuff. I've added a Google album out there, so now you can follow that. And of course, how to stay in touch with us. Please keep sending the suggestions for weather apps. I am going to be doing some episodes coming up on that, and I'd like to hear your suggestions as well as to which apps you like and what you like to use. So until next time, remember, RSVP, rate, share, validate, and pledge. You can read, again, more about that at the website. But importantly, have good, exciting, and hopefully low heat, and if you have heat, be safe weather.